July 26, 1920. On a narrow street in Boston, a line 4 people wide waits to hand one man their savings. He's promised them 50% in 45 days. That morning's front page proves his math was never possible. The line reads the story and cheers for him anyway. Case 02, the original Ponzi. A street full of people cheering for the man taking their savings. I collect moments like that. Most cons die with the con man. This one got a name, and every copy for a century has worked the same way. It begins with a man a few weeks from broke, an envelope from Spain, and the best idea he ever had, which was legal. Open the file. Boston, 1903. Charles Ponzi walks off a steamship with $2.50 to his name and $1 million in hopes, he'd say later. The hopes take detours. In Montreal, he clerks for a little bank that pays 6%, quietly, out of its new depositors' money. When the bank collapses, Ponzi forges a check and serves 20 months. Remember that little bank? He did. Boston, summer 1919. Ponzi is 37, pitching a trade journal nobody wants, when an envelope arrives from Spain. Inside is a small square of paper, an international reply coupon, so his reader could write back postage paid. A stamp voucher honored in dozens of countries at prices fixed before the war. And the war broke those prices. European money collapsed, and the coupon tables never caught up. Buy where money is weak, redeem where it's strong. And $1 of Italian lira comes back as $3.30 of American postage. On paper, free money, even legal. One hitch, and nobody in line will ever ask. Win the trade, and you're holding warehouses of postage, not dollars. And postage isn't money. In December 1919, with $150 of capital, he opens the Securities Exchange Company at 27 School Street and starts selling promissory notes. Give him $100, and in 90 days he hands back $150. In practice, he pays in just $45. The first investors get every cent, right on time. Now hold that promise up to the light, because here's what's happening inside 27 School Street. The coupon trade exists only as a story. What exists is a drawer full of cash. When investor 100 comes due, he's paid with fresh money from investor 200 and investor 300. Old money out, new money in. It's the little Montreal bank, scaled up to a city, and in 1920, it doesn't even have a name yet. And the trap in the design? Every payout is advertising he doesn't pay for. The man who just collected 50% brings his brother, his landlady, his parish priest. Most winners don't even take the cash. They roll it forward, 50 on 50, numbers on a ledger card nobody ever spends. So the ladder goes vertical. December, 15 investors, $870. By June, nearly 8,000. By July, $1 million a week. 16 clerks stacking bills in closets, and mounted police managing the line outside. Dock workers off the night shift, waitresses with their tips, patrolmen investing their pay. Ponzi buys a 12-room mansion in Lexington for his wife Rose, a chauffeured limousine, and control of Hanover Trust, the bank that refused him a $2,000 loan a year before. The immigrant, with $250 in his pocket, now owns the banker's chair. But one detail is wrong, and exactly one man in America is feared for noticing such details. Ponzi's own fortune sits in ordinary banks, earning 5%. The man selling 50 keeps his money at 5. Why would he do that? Unless the machine can't absorb a single new dollar. The man is Clarence Barron, owner of the Wall Street Journal. On July 26th, the Boston Post prints his analysis on the front page. For the story to be true, millions of coupons would need to be moving through the mail, and the world's entire supply is a rounding error against what Ponzi owes. Months later, auditors will count the firm's coupon stock. $61. This is the scene from the top of the file. A run begins, thousands deep on School Street, demanding their money back. Ponzi arrives smiling and pays every claim in full. $2 million in 3 days. He sends coffee and donuts down the line, and some of the crowd hands him fresh money on the way out. And the line cheers him. 3 cheers for Ponzi, 3 groans for the Post. Charm survives arithmetic. Employees don't. On August 2nd, his own publicity man, William McMasters, goes to the Post in print under his own name. The great financier is, quote, hopelessly insolvent, millions in debt, nothing behind the notes but the next deposit. On August 9th, the state freezes his accounts at Hanover Trust. 2 days later, the Post lands its final punch, a photograph from Montreal. Boston's financial wizard is a convicted check forger, 10 years out of a Canadian cell. On August 12th, with auditors counting a $7 million hole, Charles Ponzi surrenders to federal agents. Mail fraud. From first promise to surrender, 8 months. The audit finds those notes outstanding, $14 million promised, against assets nowhere close. 6 Boston banks go down with him, banks grown fat on his deposits, including Hanover Trust. And 40,000 people wait to learn what's left. The dock workers, the waitresses, the patrolmen from that line, most in for a few $100s. The answer takes a decade. Court-appointed receivers sue, claw back, and audit, and by 1930, the people who trusted Ponzi have received 37.5 cents on the dollar. Even the ones who smelled it and ran early are ordered by the Supreme Court to give the money back, so everyone can lose equally. That ruling still governs every Ponzi cleanup a century later. In 1934, 7 prison years later, America deports him. He gives the newsreels a fascist salute from the gangplank and sails away from the country whose pockets he'd emptied for 30 years. He dies in a charity ward in Rio de Janeiro in 1949 with an estate of $75. Enough to bury him. 3 red flags from the file that named them all. 1. Returns too high and too consistent. The 50% is the bait, but the schedule is the tell. Real investments have bad months. A promise that never misses isn't earning returns, it's manufacturing them. 2. A money machine nobody can inspect. Ponzi's engine was a trade nobody ever watched running. And when the count came, the whole engine was $61 in a drawer. If the mechanism only exists as a story, the story is the mechanism. Today, the coupons are crypto yields and trading bots. The drawer is the same. 3. Watch where the early payouts come from. Getting paid is not proof. It's the best advertising a fraud ever buys. And the person paying is standing in line behind you. If returns only arrive while new money does, you're not an investor. You're the show. Near the end of his life, Ponzi called it all the best show Boston ever saw. He forgot who paid for the tickets. Case 02, closed. 8 months of scheme, a century of name. Next case, 1963. A commodities dealer in New Jersey borrows millions against tanks of salad oil that are mostly seawater, and Wall Street doesn't check until it nearly breaks. That file opens soon. The adjuster, closing. Until it's checked by someone who doesn't profit, it is not yet real.